All right, call this meeting to order. I can see Tony there. I can see the auditor. I can see Scott. Is Dan there? I can't see Dan.
Yep, he's in there.
All right, go ahead. Whoever wants to go, go.
All right, so the first one I got, Greg, is just a follow-on to the fees that we talked about last time as far as doing away with the deposit and just doing a turn-on fee. And you said you were in support of that back then. We've done a little bit more homework, and it seems pretty common. And I can let Taylor jump in, but I believe we just need to set a fee amount and provide that information to Mr. Hunter to have him draw up an ordinance.
What are we currently charging for a deposit?
$50.
Can we go 100?
Taylor, go ahead and hop in on that one.
Are we allowed to go 100?
I mean, only thing I can speak to is how other cities do it. I would say 100 is not something I've seen at other cities. The main goal for cities getting off the deposit is just pure administrative issues.
We discussed all that at the last meeting. We agree with it. What was the common charge?
The charge that I'm most familiar with is the city of Athens does $30. They essentially just charge the turn on and turn off fee, and then it's of course not refundable like a deposit. So the thinking is, and just a real quick explainer would be that deposits are only taken from a small number of customers, so the rate has to be higher. Whereas if you were just charging to go turn it on, everyone would pay, so you wouldn't need as large a charge. Because you're not just taking it from 10% of the customer, you're taking it from 100%. So 100 is just not something I've seen. I mean, it's up to you guys in the end.
I was just asking. At one time, we had set it at 100, and then Hunter said we couldn't require a $100 deposit. But we still have to deal with the fact that even though we're collecting it from more people when they turn it on, we have to have enough reserve in the fund to pay for when people don't pay their bill.
Sure.
So $50, is that $50 good with everybody?
Yeah, leave it at 50.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, Dan, Tony,
Yeah.
You're good with that? All right,
Good.
Move on to the next. Bring the legislation in, Scott and Britt. Move on to the next one.
Okay. And then in conjunction with that, also is we currently charge 10% late fee for water bills that are past due, and I'll allow Taylor to jump in, but we were wanting to change that to a set amount versus a percentage, and I'll let Taylor jump in for the rest of that discussion.
I sort of agree on that. Taylor, what are you suggesting as a set amount?
Well, can I just clarify real quick that the set fee in the prior discussion would be just for new customers? It'd be kind of a nightmare to return every deposit. So I just want to make sure we talked about that. So the deposits would be returned to the old customers as they leave service. But I just wanted to clarify on the set fees. You know, I had this conversation with Mr. Hunter and others. 10% is our current late fee. That is considered in most settings in local government. Mr. Hunter said usurious, or essentially higher than the state allows. So I would suggest a set fee of $5 per late bill. 10% of our larger customers can equal over $1,000. And those are partners we work with, like the jail or Hocking. And if the mail comes late, it just seems unfair to charge a person $1,000 or $2,000 for a late bill. So I suggest $5 across the board and just get in line with what other cities are doing.
I'm fine with that. Tony, Dan?
Works for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Bring the legislation in.
Okay. The next one. So the next one, we'll talk about what the responsibility of the city is as far as where does the city stop being responsible and becomes the customers at that point. So we found some legislation that probably would work right up the alley with what we want to do. And I'll go ahead and let Jason read it out loud for the parts that we want.
Well, on the first page we got here, we have the Lake County Utility Department. In outside meters, they are responsible, the water department, utility department is responsible for the service line from the main to and including the meter vault, including any portion of any valve, meter, coupling, or the cover on the meter vault. The property owner is responsible from the meter vault out. Any service line coming out of the meter, to the residents is the customer's responsibility. This is what we go by. It's been kind of just a rule of thumb, but there's nothing in writing on it. And for an inside meter setting, the portion of the meter or the service line from the main to and including the curb stop or curb box. And then the customer is responsible from the curb box into the house. The meter is still the city's responsibility, but the line leading from the shutoff outside is the customer's responsibility.
So
I'm fine with what you just said. Tony, Dan?
But that's the way it always has been.
Yeah, well, it's never been in writing.
It's never been in writing, but that's just.
Yeah, so we'll have to amend have Mr. Hunter amend the water policy.
okay.
We've got another one here also that's private water distribution lines. And the way this reads, and I don't remember exactly where I got this one. If any person applies for and is granted permission to tap for distribution of water on private property through private water distribution lines, the distribution lines exclusive of those within buildings on the premises shall be built to the specifications of and subject to inspection by the city. All private distribution lines shall be maintained in a good, adequate, and sanitary condition, and maintenance shall be the obligation and at the expense of the property owner.
You might want to include a check valve in that language.
Yeah. Well, I'm just reading what we had found so far because we've looked over throughout the state of Ohio to find different ordinances that went along with what we needed. So
See, I think the EPA requires a check valve, so we might want to include that in that language. What's Mr. Hunter say about that, comparing it with the state water rules?
We haven't had a chance to talk with him. When we saw him Monday, we were addressing other stuff, so we have not had a chance to run that one by him.
Well, why don't you run it by him and have him draft some legislation to put that in there?
Okay.
That good with you? That good with you, Tony?
I'm good.
Good.
Dan?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, just
So the next one, do you have any more on that one, Jason?
No.
So the next one, we did not find an answer yet that we'd like to bring forward, so I just wanted to address it, that we haven't forgotten about it. And that is the seasonal water service of what that looks like. Unless you guys just want to make it very simple that people have the option to turn their water on and off, just pay the fees on and off and have it seasonal. I talked to the engineer about it, and he said that can get dangerous if you have a lot of seasonal usage, because right now the way you guys are budgeting and your water rates are based off everybody contributing. If you start taking a lot of users offline, those minimum bills, then you could run into a problem. And I explained to him that we weren't talking about a lot of people. We're probably talking about a dozen or less.
Yeah.
And with that being the case, he didn't foresee an issue. However, I just wanted to put it out there that if a lot of people jumped on this, it could cost the city money in the long run.
So I think it's fair to say that if somebody's leaving, they want to get their water turned off, turn it off. I mean, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Charge them a hookup fee, charge them a discharge fee, turn off fee. That's it.
So we do that now. The only difference is we're going to charge the minimum. Whether
I'm good with what Dan said there, as long as Hunter's good with it. As long as Hunter's good with it, and that's again, you're going to have to compare that with the state water rules. So he's going to have to research that and give us a yes or no on it.
Okay.
It works for me too.
Yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Just shut off, turn on,
Keep it simple.
stop charging the middle.
All right, the next one is commercial meters. And everything that we found so far, and again, this one also needs to go in front of Hunter, is there's a lot of variation out there as far as how often a meter should be tested. Because it goes, so one testing agency that we contacted said 2 inches and below was every 3 years, and above 2 inches was every year. But then again, it depends on how old the meter is. Some places just do it every 3 years, no matter what. It would be my recommendation, just for standardization and ease, if we just set a time. You know, if we talked about last time, giving everybody a year to get it done and provide their records to the water office, and then every 3 years require recertification.
I think that's reasonable. Tony?
Yes.
Dan?
Am I exempt?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, then I'll agree.
All right, so you go.
All right. Just go ahead and get that to Hunter, then Scott.
Yep, that's not a problem. The organizational layout, I still owe you that, so I'll go ahead and save that for the next one, Greg, if that's all right, as far as.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then the last one we have is, and I saved the most complicated for last. When I say complicated, it's really not that bad. It's stormwater runoff. So Jason went out and found damn near 10 different cities that have stormwater fees. Everyone around us has them. Logan has them. Athens has them. Lancaster, you name it, they're everywhere. And the one at Lancaster, it's like its own book. It's very complicated to understand, has a whole bunch of formulas in it and everything else. So we found, or Jason found, I should say, the Northeastern Ohio Regional Sewer District. So up that way, they have a pretty simple equation, and it's only 2 pages. The first one they say is for residential. They have 3 tiers. Now keep in mind these dollar amounts are from 2015 in here, which probably for our area is probably good for today, meaning that's a wealthier area that came from. So 7 years later, it's probably good numbers for here. So the tier 1 is small. It's less than 2,000 square feet. And what that's talking about is impermeable surfaces. So that could include concrete or asphalt. The way this reads, we can streamline that, or you can just go square footage of the house as well. But for that, the way they do it, they only bill quarterly. I think it would make more sense for us to bill monthly. However, a tier 1 less than 2,000 square feet was $9.09 a quarter. That's $3 a month for a smaller house. You have tier 2 medium, which is between 2,000 and 4,000. And that tier 2 was $15 a quarter, so $5.05, $15.15, so $5.05 for a bigger house. And then you have tier 3, which is residential greater than 4,000 square feet, which is $27.27. After that, there's an equation in here for commercial that goes on to talk about, which is you're either residential or commercial, one or the other. And here it's 505. What does EUR stand for again, Jason? It's the equivalent.
It's
residential unit.
Yeah.
So ERU is equivalent residential unit. That's the term they use here. And which are equal to 3,000 square feet of impervious area. So if we took something like City Hall here, impervious area would include pretty much the entire compound that has asphalt and roofing. And the charge is $5 a quarter, or $5 a month for every 3,000 square feet. So that Eagles building is really going to help our fund. And
I'm not exempt on that either?
no. There is an exemption in here. What I would like to do, because we just found this late Friday, if you guys want, we can send this legislation out to you folks, and that way you guys can review it over. We can send you all the other things we found too, but these ones are the
Scott, I think that's a really good idea, and send it to every council member so they can look it over and comment by the next meeting.
And there is credits in here for people trying to control stormwater and everything else. So it labels it all out in here. So those that are doing something about it. But I just thought it was really simple. On the residential side, you only got 3 tiers, and it's based off the square footage of your roof, basically, and your driveway. And then, and of course, we have the flexibility to do any of that.
Why don't you send that legislation to every council person and a short explanation of what you're trying to accomplish, and then at the next meeting we'll invite any comments from everybody.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so for instance, so you're saying $5 for every 3,000. So basically my Eagles building with parking lot would be somewhere around $27 a month.
Yep.
Are you gonna reel it off yourselves or just trust what I tell you?
Auditor's
website.
Auditor's website is probably what we'd have to go off initially, because they have that listed out there. The only thing that they don't list, to my own understanding, is asphalt. So they'll tax concrete, but not asphalt. So that'll be one of the things that I'll put out in the email to you guys. Do we even want to talk about parking lots or?
Well, yeah, well, see, because here's where I got a problem with that, because I also own a little piece of crap property that's attached to that Eagles building that's 50 by 100 in the middle of the freaking parking lot of the library that I pay taxes on. So I mean, it's kind of like, I have to pay for the freaking runoff on that too.
Well, why don't we send it out and invite comments from everybody, and everybody can study the legislation and be prepared to decide what we want to do at the next meeting.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm okay with I guess I'm okay with the buildings.
Well,
I got some similar concerns, Dan, but I want to see the legislation and how it affects everything and be able to comment after looking at the legislation. So we can actually agree on what we want to do at the next meeting and get everybody prepared and let them look at the legislation and be able to comment.
Yep, we'll get it up to you then. Because again, there's credits in there too, so you guys will be able to look at all that. I think that is it for now. I know
there's one thing I want to add. Is the last meeting we decided that we would come up with something on the water policy where you could forgive the sewer part.
Yep.
So maybe have Hunter look at that too.
Okay.
I mean, I think we already decided on that, and I haven't had anything else. Tony, you got anything else?
I'm good.
Dan, you got it?
Yeah.
With the sewer part, now that we do the abatement, is that something that we still want to pursue?
Is the question I got from Mr. Hunter is that water abatement or water and sewer abatement? Because I'm looking at it and we got 2 different funds there, and he needs to clarify that. So
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I mean, we currently abate both funds. Is the question whether the abatement legislation mentions the sewer fund or?
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're good legally and have Hunter look at that, and then we can go from there. But that's something that the law director has to look at, because I was looking at the water abatement policy, and it kept mentioning water, and I didn't see sewer anywhere, and I'm wondering if we maybe need to make a couple changes or do something in that line. I don't know. It's something to discuss with the law director. You can do that, Scott.
One of the basis that we base the actual adjustment to on the bill is that you made an amendment in the council meeting that the city manager could adjust for any reason that he or she sees fit. So really, I mean, the abatement, they just pay, and then the city manager requires his signature to adjust it anyway, as far as the bill. So it would seem like we're covered.
All right, Scott, just check with Hunter and make sure we're covered.
Can do.
All right. Anybody got anything else?
Nope.
I'm going to adjourn, and I'm also going to say that I scheduled this meeting at 1 o'clock because I had other commitments tonight, so I won't be at a Judiciary Committee meeting tonight. And my lawyer will also be sending you a very extensive public records request. So, but I won't be at that meeting, and I wanted to make sure everybody knew that I scheduled this meeting in the afternoon because I had other commitments tonight. You have a good day, and we will adjourn at 1:23. Thank you.
Hey, Greg.
Yes.
We did have some comments just pop in within the last 2 minutes. Do you want me to go address those real quick?
Yeah.
All right. So the one question I think we've answered from Patty McCombs was, is this about the water insurance? It's two different things for the water insurance, the water abatement versus the sewer adjustments. And that's what we're going to talk to Hunter to figure out. If I understood the situation correctly from Taylor, we were just adjusting both naturally. However, Mr. Smith makes a really good point that it only specifies water in the abatement process. So we're just going to clarify that. Then Robert McKelvey says they're going to bill you for rain. Does anyone know how to abolish the city council and get a mayor? Well, just like Logan, who has a mayor, they also have a policy for stormwater when it rains. Lois McDonald, so we have to pay the city when it rains. I'm confused. Yes, every city around us has a stormwater fund, and it pays for stormwater specific items. So, for example, the flooding that happens down on, you pick the street, Poplar Street. What this is money set aside specific to stormwater projects only. So because currently we don't have a line item for any stormwater repairs in our budget. When there's something emergency comes up or we're going to make some sort of adjustment, we pull it out of the sewer fund. This would change that and create its own fund. And again, it couldn't be used for anything other than stormwater repairs. For example, the 3 flood pumps that we have for the city, they all need extensive repairs, but one motor alone is $30,000. So this is a way to combat that and get ahead as far as upgrading the infrastructure.
Scott, I'd also add that the reason I wanted to see the legislation, I wanted to see how it affected residents and how we discussed how the residents was going to be billed, if they were billed, and for how much. So there's nothing cast in stone, and I would encourage Lois to get a copy of the legislation and look at it and make suggestions.
Absolutely. And then Timothy Carmen says, it's a monthly fee to pay for storm systems. Other places call it a rain tax. So I don't remember seeing rain tax, but it doesn't matter what you call it. It's stormwater system period that, again, is in drastic need of TLC.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with impact fees when people build something and what you make a big area of concrete and you make a big roof and you add a lot of storm water to the storm system, and there needs to be a way to pay for that. So it's up for discussion, and I would encourage anybody that wants to get a copy of the legislation, look over it and make suggestions. Is that all the comments?
That's all I got now. Yes.
Well, let's go ahead and adjourn then at 1:26.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you.